Hello, this is Nationwide. I am Ogochkuka Ona. You're welcome. The Nigerian Labour Congress NLC and Trade Union Congress TUC and its affiliates, including the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU, have begun a nationwide strike in defiance to a court order restraining them from embarking on the industrial action. The two major labor unions, NLC and TUC, had declared a strike following the brutalization of the NLC President Joe Ajaero in Imo State on 1st November. Ajaero was attacked in Owerri, the state capital, during an NLC protest against the Imo State government over alleged maltreatment of workers in the state. The unions on Monday directed their members to down tools across the country from midnight of the same day. This is despite this training order issued by the National Industrial Court in Abuja on Friday, stopping the labor unions from embarking on the strike. Here in Abuja, the strike appears to have had significant impact on government business, with most offices shut down and those open not operating at optimum capacity. Now, we also hear that there is low compliance in some parts of the country, and Oka is one of them, as we now link with Onome Okadibo, who is there live to give us some more perspective on this matter. Onome, thank you for joining us on Nationwide.
Thank you so much. Here in Anambra.
All right, did you glean anything else from the responses from the workers to either suggest if they were excited or not about this development?
AM this morning, most offices were open, but some of our crew caught up with some of the officials of the NLC and TUC who said the information got to their members late, as at the time of visiting some of the offices in the Federal Secretariat and the State Secretariat here in Awka Metropolis. We saw some workers going home as they got the information that the strike is ongoing in solidarity with the treatment the national president got at Imo State. Though some residents expressed concern over the effect on economic activities here in the state, because Anambra is known as one of the commercial hub in the country. So they expressed worry that at least government should look into this matter so that activities can pick up in the state.
All right, so what are your expectations after this timeout? What are you expecting? Onome, I was asking, what are your expectations? We hear you saw some workers going home. So what did they tell you as they trooped back home?
Well, some of the offices were being shut down by some of the officials of the NLC. They had no choice but to go home and comply with the strike. But some of them expressed worry over productivity and the impact of the strike on the workers, on the economy as a whole.
Thank you very much for the updates on Onome Okadibo there in Awka. All right, still on the same matter, the presidency has stamped the decision by the NLC and TUC to embark on strike despite a restraining order issued last week by Justice Benedict Skype of the National Industrial Court as an ego-tripping move and an attempt to blackmail the government. The special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanuga, in a statement notes that calling out workers on a national strike over a personal issue of the labor leader, Joe Ajaero, is an abuse of privilege. Nanuga states that the federal government does not condone any form of violence and assault on any citizen, and that the Inspector General of Police has ordered investigation into what happened to Ajaero 0, while the Commissioner of Police in Imo State, under whose watch the incident happened, has been transferred out of the state. The presidency therefore points that the nation's economy and social activities should not suffer because of the personal interest of any labor leader, as the organized labor has always been a champion of rule of law and respect for the judiciary, wondering how the current labor leaders have shown disregard for court order. Now, governments and labor unions have been called upon to always engage in dialogue for proper understanding to avoid unnecessary industrial action. These are the views of stakeholders in Adamawa State against the indefinite strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress in the state. Simon Asha reports.
The state of Yola, the Adamawa State capital, is less busy with public offices and institutions partially shut down. The development is as a result of indefinite strike embarked upon by the organized labor, which is gradually paralyzing activities in the state. This, the stakeholders say, is not healthy for a developing country like Nigeria, which needs to grow its economy and address challenges in all sectors.
The only way we can close the gap between these government and labor issues are when we do it with the high sense of responsibility and patriotism, not to bring in any primordial motive inside politics, religion, geography, and so on and so forth. So let's do it in the interest of the people of the country.
The government and the NSC should sit down and then look into their situation inward and then take appropriate decision that is supposed to be, as they have their citizens at heart.
Those on the payroll of the federal government have started getting their palliative. So that is to say, these agreements have been implemented, although in piecemeal. So, but like I say again, these are issues for some other times discussion, not on this, not now.
In Yola, Simon Asher, NTA News.
And for more on this, let's link up with Simon Asher in Yola. Hello, Simon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. In Yola is not that serious because there's a partial compliance to the indefinite strike embarked upon by the organized labor in the country. And we were earlier this afternoon during our revenue time, we at both the state and federal secretariat. We saw workers going in and out of the secretariat gates, and some of them were seated under the tree, probably discussing about the strike. But after that, we went to the organized labor secretariat where we met the state chairman of the organized labor in the state, and he said this is the first day, and that is why there was not that much compliance, but they have gone out to enforce a certain degree of compliance at the specialist hospital Yola, both in Yola South, Yola North State Secretariat, which is now under lock and key. But apart from that, those places that they went, other institutions are still, there's this workers, you can see workers going about doing their normal civil service activities. And the state, people are even going about their normal businesses. Vehicular movement is a little bit, even though a little bit low, but there is not much panic or to say in regards to the strike embarked upon by the organized labor in the country. And there is this tranquility of people, people that were even interviewed were even calling for the labor and the federal government to address the issue amicably so that it will enhance a good, or let me say harmonious working relationship between both parties. So they say the issue of strike, they're fed up or a little bit tired with it, and they should just come to the round table and try to address the situation once and for all for the good of the nation and its citizenry.
All right, thank you very much, Simon. If I gathered something there, you said the people are tired of the incessant strike actions and they want a very, very amicable solution to it. Thank you very much, Simon. All right, prior to the commencement of the strike, the federal government had appealed to the labor unions to refrain from actions capable of undermining a subsisting court order. A statement by the Special Assistant on Communication and Publicity to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Kamaruddin Ogundele, noted that any action of such will be tantamount to contempt of courts. Government reminded the leadership of the unions of a subsisting court order, stopping them and their affiliates from embarking on the strike. The President of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, Justice Kanyib, granted the interim order on November 10, 2023. And for more news from the Center of Excellence, Hingino is our guide. Hingino, good evening.
Good evening, Ogochukuka. A handful of workers, especially those on essential services, were seen at government establishments in Lagos as most workers were turned back at the entrance of their offices this morning in compliance with the labor union leaders' call for indefinite strike action beginning from today, 14th of November. These two other matters now. Cases of diabetes mellitus are becoming alarming, with the World Health Organization's chart showing a steady increase over the past few years. Arresting the trend through provision of access to the right information and equitable care, experts say, is imperative. As the world marks this year's Diabetes Day with the theme Access to Diabetic Care, Lanre Bilei takes a look at measures put in place by government to fight the disease.
The staggering number and worrisome projections by the International Diabetes Foundation says it all. The data revealed that as of 2021, there was 37% prevalence of diabetes in Nigeria. That is 3,623,500 cases. This calls for renewed effort in tackling the increase in the number of cases. Medical experts say equal access to right information and care is important.
The first thing is that all primary health care centers should be able to check blood glucose. There should be a point of care device, a glucometer, to check patients' blood glucose, either to determine if they have diabetes or to see the level of blood glucose when they come.
The federal government in 2022 came up with the Eye Care Initiative in collaboration with a foreign government to provide diabetic care and facilitate insulin access to the most vulnerable patient groups in Nigeria. It also aims at upscaling primary healthcare centers to provide the right information, better accessibility, timely treatment, and care to patients. Key players believe professional healthcare givers, especially at the grassroots, should be included in assessing right and latest information.
Like this, they are able to do the required investigations to, first of all, make a diagnosis and also follow up on the management, and also access the required medication needed to manage diabetes.
This will enable early diagnosis and care. Lagos, Lanre Bilei, NTA News.
Talking security now, the Nigerian Army has organized a strategic workshop on office management and document security for clerks of 2 and H1 divisions. The training is in line with the Chief of Army Staff's vision of transforming the Nigerian Army into a well-trained force. Balaji Akim completes the report.
Facing security challenges that need to protect restricted documents against espionage and cyber attack is of topmost priority to the Nigerian Army.
The essence of this workshop,
to this end, the workshop with the team enhancing operations security through effective office management and security of documents, information and units is to broaden the scope of participating officers on the importance of security and service delivery. Declaring the workshop open, Chief of Army Staff represented reminded officers of the importance of their duties to the Nigerian Army and the country at large.
Your duties affect the lives and careers of your colleagues and comrades. We all rely on the output from your work for action during operation and otherwise. Hence, you cannot afford to take your responsibility lightly, as the consequences will more often be fed well beyond the comfort of the offices and other rooms where most of you work.
The workshop will also familiarize participating officers with modern developments in document security and enhance their knowledge on how documents can be protected with the increased use of cyberspace for relaying messages. In Lagos, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
That's all from Lagos. Nationwide will continue with Maijama Adamu in Maiduguri after this break.
All right, Maiduguri seems not to be ready. It will come in the course of the bulletin. But let's go back to our earlier report where we told you that Victor Azu was in town for a situation report on the NLC-TUC strike in Abuja.
It's an unusual Tuesday. The strike action declared by labor unions is taking a toll. Several government offices visited have their gates shut. Those not shut lack the usual hustle and bustle. In some cases, they are replaced by pandemonium. The Federal Secretariat was neither a ghost town nor the usual beehive of activities.
For today, it has been so effective. The ministry has been dull, you can see. Even some of the senior staffs in the head of service, the directors, they didn't come to office. I'm just coming from the Ministry of Health just now. I noticed that the place was scanty. So some people observed it, some did not.
I was supposed to have one appointment or the other, especially at the National Identity Management Commission. I went to their head office. They were not there. I came here. They are not there. They said it's due to strike.
I came to follow up a submission at the ministry, and I made the whole place virtually under lock and key. Government and labor should reach a truce because the impact of the strike on the economy will be bad.
While at it, the economy suffers. It spares no one's blushes. Observers say there is urgent need to engage. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide. We now link up with Maiduguri. Maijama is standing by.
Welcome to Maiduguri, where there has been less compliance to the joint industrial action declared by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Tina Toro, who went around the metropolis, reported that the residents of Maiduguri went about their normal businesses.
Post office, the most popular public hangout joint in Maiduguri metropolis. The heavy vehicular, pedestrian and traffic attest to the reality of the strike action in Borno State. Maiduguri Monday market is agog with activities of buying and selling as sellers and buyers seem oblivious of the industrial action.
Seriously, I don't know, because I've already went to school. So I've finished what I'm doing inside school. That's why I say I should come to market and buy some things. But I don't know about anything about strike.
At the Borno State Secretariat, most offices were under lock and key, but workers could be seen hanging around the premises. Likewise, the State Specialist Hospital filled to capacity with patients receiving treatment. Banks visited showed full compliance with customers locked out. Chairman NLC Borno State Chapter and his counterpart of the TUC, however, say that the state is part of the industrial action, noting that a bridge in communication is responsible for what is perceived as non-compliance. They say the indefinite strike commences fully from tomorrow throughout the state. In Maiduguri, Tina Turu, NTA News.
Engaging faith-based organization as a collaborative effort towards addressing the menace of drug abuse and trafficking in Nigeria will help reduce the alarming rate it has reached. This is the position of the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier Mohammed General Buomarwa, who interacted with indigenous religious leaders in Maiduguri. Maimuna Garba reports.
While interacting separately with the faith-based organizations, Chairman and Chief Executive NDLEA Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa stressed that the fight is a collective obligation and religious leaders are front burners because they have the hearts of the people as whatever they say carries weight. He enjoined them to set up drug abuse control committees in their various mosques and churches as proactive way of addressing the problem. He also made available an emergency line for assistance for those that are shy and reluctant to go to hospital for rehabilitation.
There is no single community you point and say this community is exempted from the scourge of drug use, drug abuse.
The religious leaders unanimously commended the initiative and promised to reflect the issue in their sermons and to partner with NDLEA to curb the menace. In a related development, the chairman of the NDLEA has built a 30-bed capacity ward at Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Maiduguri, where he commended the institution's feat in delivering on its mandate in the region and beyond, as well as support it has been rendering to NDLEA. Medical Director, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Maiduguri, Dr. Ibrahim Wakawa, disclosed that drug demand services of the hospital is top-notch in the country. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News. In Maiduguri.
And that's all from this end. Nationwide continues in our Abuja studio. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Major Ma in Maiduguri. President Bola Tinubu has achieved advanced negotiations concerning a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure finance facility from the Islamic Development Bank to fund a multi-sectoral portfolio of infrastructure projects at the federal and subnational levels in Nigeria. This is sequel to substantive investment discussions held between President Tinubu and the Vice President's country programs of the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Mansour Mukhtar. President Tinubu states that Nigeria is the candle of hope that will light the way for Africa investments in Nigeria. He explains will be among the world's most high-yielding investor as money will flow easily in and out of the country, noting that the historic essence of President Tinubu's swift and decisive economic reforms. The Vice President of the Islamic Development Bank said the financial world has been monitoring events in Nigeria and has concluded that Africa's largest economy means business this time. The Islamic Development Bank president announced the provision of $50 billion of new investments for the African continent from the Arab Coordination Group, ACG. This was announced at the Saudi Arab African Economic Summit. And now, Senate has passed the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2023 to address the concerns of host communities. The amendment enables the provision of 5% of the actual annual operating expenditure of the preceding financial year by the various power generating companies in Nigeria, GENCOs, for the development of the respective host communities.
From the member states shall be received, managed, and administered by a reputable trustee to be jointly appointed by the GENCOs and representative of the host communities upon agreement by the GENCOs and the host communities on one part and the trustees on the other part to implement infrastructural development projects identified within the host community. Those who are also in support of Clause 2D, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
A total of 1,709 widows and orphans of fallen heroes of the Nigerian Armed Forces have received a financial support of 250,000 naira each, courtesy of the Renewed Hope Initiative pet project of the Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu. The First Lady, while presenting the donation, says the society must continue to recognize the pains of the widows and show gratitude by seeking to empower them. State House correspondent Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
Than when I was 29.
At 33, Antonia Otun has been a widow for 4 years now, having lost her husband in 2019. Since then, she has endured life alone, having to cope with the challenge of raising their 3 kids all by herself. She is not alone in this category. Today, she shares the company of 70-year-old Hasimao Audu and about 1,707 other widows and orphans of fallen soldiers whose husbands and fathers paid the ultimate price while defending the unity and sovereignty of Nigeria at various theaters of war.
With the help of God, it hasn't been easy at all. Paying school fees, house rent, feeding.
Although silent, echoes of their cries for attention is loud enough for Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, who is here with her pet project, Renewed Hope Initiative, to offer them a financial support that will possibly pass for more than a widow's mite, a donation of 250,000 naira each.
This will enable you to recapitalize an existing business or to start a new business of your choice to enable you care for your families.
The path of a wife of a military man is not an easy one, the First Lady says, as she called on the beneficiaries to lean on one another and forge needed solidarity. President, Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association and wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Ogogo Musa, who received the donation on behalf of the beneficiaries, applauded the intervention, describing it as a much-needed relief.
And our Excellency, our mother, out of our passion to provide succor for the less privileged and the vulnerable is inspiring and worthy of elimination.
Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, who was represented, appreciates the First Lady for her thoughtful gesture, which he says shows that the welfare of widows is a priority for her.
I have some projects that I have not finished. The house I'm staying and I have not finished repairing, so I will use part of it to do it and use the other one for my poultry.
I pray for the First Lady that she will get long life.
Put at a total sum of 427,750,000 naira, the intervention is captured under the Social Investment Program of the Renewed Hope Initiative. From the Nigerian Army Officers' Mess, Abuja, Adini Itaiwo, NTA News.
Very impressive there. And now talking politics, local observers in the November 11 governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states are urging INEC to thoroughly investigate all the allegations of malpractices and prosecute staff compromising the guidelines for the election. This was the separate post-election briefings in Abuja on the conduct of the polls last Saturday. Timothy Yusuf reports.
Throughout Saturday, 11 November 2023, Election Day, Yaga Africa watching the votes revealed that it verified 101 critical incidents. 87 of these reports were received from Imo and 14 from Kogi.
Nigeria as a country does need a conversation about our democracy, about the nature of our elections, and it has to go beyond conversation. It has to go to the reforms. And our approach to reforms really needs to reform the attitude of our political class.
The Center for Democracy and Development Election Analysis Center on the elections noted abuse of the power of incumbency in the 3 states of elections. This is in addition to ethnicity playing out a major role in all of the process.
The conduct and outcome of the off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo states more or less mirror is to focus more seriously on the urgent need to reform our political parties in ways that we see them play a more responsible role.
We must not allow them to push us backwards. We must fight to keep on pushing the struggle. So it's not a question of whether we are making progress or we are not making progress.
The Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room raised questions about the credibility of the nation's democracy, emphasizing alleged incidents of results falsification and manipulation in the elections.
Situation rooms calls on INEC to fully review the elections in Kogi and Imo states to identify the incidents of malpractice that took place and reflect the genuine vote of the people.
Situation Room also noted incidents of violence, emphasizing that it will continue to advance the course of deepening electoral reform in the country. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has been commended for enhancing inclusivity for people with disabilities in the recently concluded off-cycle election in Kogi State. Correspondent Solomon Ayede reports that TAF Africa Election Hub, while making the commendation in Lokoja, also called for ongoing collaboration with stakeholders to enhance Nigeria's electoral process.
In its commitment to fostering inclusivity in Nigeria's electoral process, TAF Africa mobilized 30 observer teams to polling units with a high concentration of registered persons with disabilities during the Kogi off-cycle election. The objective was to assess INEC's adherence to deploying assistive devices, ensuring priority voting in accordance with the Electoral Act, and gauging the overall experience of individuals with disabilities at the polls.
There was a notable improvement in the participation and overall experience of persons with disabilities during the 2023 off-cycle election, in contrast to the general election held earlier in the year.
However, the organization expressed concern over the uneven distribution of available assistive tools in certain areas of the state. It urged INEC to establish and enforce a standardized protocol for future elections, highlighting the need for a more stringent penalty for inducement of voters with disabilities. TAF Africa also advocated for sustained stakeholder engagement to further promote an inclusive and accessible electoral process. In a follow-up, the organization commended all stakeholders involved in the recently concluded Kogi State governorship election for the peaceful conduct of the exercise. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Bayelsa State says its attention has been drawn to a mischievous publication in the media on its position regarding the location of some local government collation centers during the just concluded governorship election. In a statement by the HOD Voter Education, the Commission notes that for the avoidance of doubts, election results for Brass, Nembe, and Southern Ijaw local government areas have consistently been collated at INEC headquarters Yenogwa since 2015, and the off-cycle governorship election and the 2023 general elections not exempted. This, the Commission maintains, has been so to ensure a thorough process devoid of violence and protect lives of everyone. Hence, the deployment of security agents for the protection of collation centers and the collation processes. Time now to join Felicia in Jos for more stories on Nationwide. Felicia, it's over to you.
Thanks, Ogochukwuka. And from Jos, we begin with humanitarian issues, as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, has restated the federal government's readiness towards empowering 6,000 market women in the 3 senatorial districts of Plateau State. This was when officials of the Social Investments Program interfaced with traders on the initiative in Shandam, Panshing and Riom local government areas of the state. Ndenyang and Diabagyang has details.
The Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program is a major component of the federal government's National Social Investment Program, designed to provide interest and collateral-free loans to the poor and vulnerable Nigerians to engage in commercial activities. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, in a message to an interface program with beneficiaries at Shandam Yam Market, says,
we've advised the state government to provide financial institutions that will help register them for their NIN and their bank verification numbers.
Plateau State Focal Person Social Investment Program, Aliu Baba, says targeted beneficiaries are people who engage in business enterprise such as traders and artisans, and the goal is to eradicate poverty through a loan of 50,000 naira each to all beneficiaries.
In this one we are targeting is we are using the Traders Association. They have all their connections, so we gathered them and we are now doing the process.
The team also met with targeted beneficiaries in Pangshin and Host Market in Riom, where beneficiaries applauded the federal government for sustaining the program and commitment to alleviating poverty.
And I will use that money to make my business to increase. The money being given to us, we promise the government that we are going to use it wisely.
The program is expected to be flagged off on the 17th of this month in Jos, Indenyan, and the Abuja NTA News.
In other news, Plateau State government says its doors are wide open for a robust partnership with development partners that will enhance the standard of living of people of the state. Governor Caleb Mutfwang stated this while receiving the cluster coordinator, SIDEC, GIZ, Nigeria, and ECOWAS, Marcus Washkun, at Government House. Caleb Gochin reports.
German Agency for International Cooperation, GIZ, has been in Plateau State in the last 15 years and wants to sustain its partnership with the state government in the areas of agriculture, energy, and sustainable development.
Plateau State is one of our most important areas, geographical areas for our activities as GIZ, as SADC, as and CDIN. And we are all here now with our management team also to operationalize what we in a meeting with stakeholders, which would be then the steering structure for our activities here in Plateau State.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang, while receiving the development partners, restates the commitment of his administration to partnering organizations that will bring relief to the citizens through their programs, as the state government, he says, will create the enabling environment for businesses to thrive.
We will need to tap into your expertise in trying to navigate that sector and position it for effectiveness. Of course, the issues of employment, they are critical to our youth, and we would also be counting on your support in that regard.
He disclosed that the bill to regulate the energy sector is receiving attention at the State Assembly. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Those are the stories from here. Nationwide continues shortly after this break in Abuja.
Government of contract, partnership, promotion, publication, manufacturing, STBS, start times, lectures, ICT and training, production and sales.
Thank you for staying tuned and back in Abuja. Government says it will not relent on its hours in creating an enabling environment for studies and other endeavors for citizens to realize their full potential. This is coming from the Ministry of Education at the ceremony to bid farewell to 179 students to Russia on a bilateral scholarship with Nigeria for 2023-2024 academic session. The program is part of renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu to offer opportunity to brilliant Nigerians in acquiring necessary knowledge, skills, and competence that would advance development.
As you prepare to travel out, ensure to uphold and eschew good values. Focus on your studies and be good ambassador of our dear nation.
All of you have been chosen on merit.
Meanwhile, secondary school students are equipped with entrepreneurial skills to broaden their knowledge. This was the agenda at the annual National Science, Technology and Innovation Exhibitions for senior secondary school students in Abuja. Activities marking this year's Science and Technology Week have been rounded up in Kano with exhibition of artwork and innovations by secondary school students and talented individuals. Our Salisu reports that with the needed support and encouragement to these young innovators, stakeholders noted that the future looks bright for Kano State in areas of science, technology, and innovation. We'll bring you that report in the course of the bulletin. And still on education matters, an annual convention of students committed to social emotional development has held in Enugu with more than 2,000 participants from various secondary schools across the state in attendance. Chimaro K. Ogu reports that the event tagged Pleasant Gathering was at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium and featured motivational and moral talks.
The convention brings to a climax year-long activities designed to inculcate in the students a culture of reading, morality and high ethical standards.
We should be good ambassadors and agents of transformation in our society.
Avoid bad friends because bad friends destroy good manners.
The vision bearer, Mrs. Joy Obonna, and other speakers on the occasion were unanimous in their submission that no nation can experience true transformation and positive change until the students are fully equipped for the process. They therefore advocate that children be courteously and consciously guided to fit into their role as agents of transformation.
Our mandate is to equip and to empower the next generation, to make them become a people of integrity with high ethical standards. And attention needs to be given to them at this point so that we can actually serve as interventionists and also preventionists to the social vices we are seeing in the society today. We are collaborating with them to see that our children, whom we see as the future of tomorrow and as agents of transformation, that will put their interests at heart.
To promote that culture of reading, good morals, interactions, and certainly by so doing, you're helping children to build a great future.
It's important that the government begins to fund the things that are important. One is the education of these students. What has gone on today is a lot of seminars, a lot of teaching that these students can grow from. The government needs these students because they are the future of tomorrow.
Theme for the 2023 Pleasant Gathering is Nigerian students as agents of transformation. In Enugu, Chimaroke Ugu, NTA News.
And our vice-chancellors of Nigerian universities are seeking a national stakeholders roundtable to discuss the directive that public tertiary institutions should remit 40% of their internally generated revenues to the federal government. Mina Daniels has details.
This was while discussing the issue on Good Morning Nigeria. They also explained that the universities will transfer the burden to the poor students and their parents. This, they insist, will directly affect the students' loan proposed by the federal government.
We're a bit alarmed at how do you determine what is a surplus if you are going to do deductions at source. And it didn't quite add up for us. And like the chairman has said, how have you even defined what IGR is? A few examples were given. For example, if you ask contractors to pay for registration.
Students, what they pay for examination, it's something that can take you. For instance, in my university, I have over 60,000 students. If you put that together, it costs me just for the OMR sheets. Sometimes I spend up to 47 million just to get that. This isn't talking about booklets that each student must get and use in answering the examination. So at that point already, we are running into deficit.
The guest also added that universities do not have surpluses and are currently in deficit.
If the federal government really want, this system to work, or let them even get the 40% or whatever from these universities, there are so many policies that they can put in place. In the first place, most of the huge contract they give in this country, there is consultancy, services and whatever embedded in this contract. They can consult these universities.
It is their view that a stakeholders roundtable will address key issues, identify loopholes, and arrive at a more convenient and less cumbersome decision that won't take a disastrous toll on students and parents. In Abuja, Mina Daniels, NTA News.
The Ministry of Police Affairs is set to effectively implement the presidential directive on the withdrawal of police personnel from VIP security duties and to develop a community policing strategy to enhance internal security measures. Minister of State for Police Affairs Iman Suleiman Ibrahim stated this at a two-day retreat for the Directorate Cadre of the ministry in Abuja. Francis Form has details.
Envisioning the Ministry of Police Affairs for effective internal security, strengthening administration and management functions for resilience and efficiency is the crux of this retreat for Directorate Cadre in the ministry. The Minister of State Police Affairs stated that the mandate of the ministry is not mere task, but transformative initiative that can enhance internal security in Nigeria.
Given Mr. President's commitment to reforming the Nigerian police force, the ministry is now positioned at the forefront of the police transformation agenda, and it must rise to the challenge.
This therefore underscores the imperativeness of embracing innovative approaches, implementing technological-driven solutions, and fostering a culture of accountability that can usher in a new era of efficiency and effectiveness.
The product of this retreat is going to change the horizon for the Nigerian police force. Improved policy environment, improved funding, improved supervision.
British High Commissioner to Nigeria in a message said, the United Kingdom is committed to Nigeria's police reforms and ready to do more in the spirit of partnership.
And I really look forward to hearing your ideas on how we elevate this cooperation. What can we do? What practical things can we do together to make a difference?
The retreat is geared towards improving efficiency and enhancing performances of the service in the face of the current global dynamics. Francis from NTA News.
We'll now be joining our sports desk for latest in that sector.
The Super Eagles camp in Uyo is bubbling as small players arrive the camp ahead of the team's 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Lesotho and Zimbabwe. The Super Eagles will be the guests to Zimbabwe on match day 2 of the qualifiers on Sunday 19th of November, while the battle against Lesotho is scheduled for Thursday.
We missed out at the last World Cup, so this is a serious matter for us, and we're here to do what I have to do to get our tickets for the next World Cup.
Still on football, one of Africa's representatives at the ongoing World Under-17 Championship, Senegal defeated Poland 4-1 to keep hope in the championship. In handball, third place Rima Queens of Sokoto with 23 points will battle Bayelsa Queens, who are 8th on the log with 13 points, as the second phase of the Andover Premier League begins Tuesday in Lagos. The biggest match of the day will see the Abuja Derby as defending champions Safety Babes square up against rivals Defender Babes, who are second on the log. In the men's category, league leaders and former champions Niger United will take on Correction Boys, who are 10th on the table. In boxing, as part of means to take youths off the streets and engage them productively, our philanthropist Chief Emeka Agba has staged the maiden boxing show tagged Emeka Agba Boxing Promotion Ring Matadors, featuring 6 bouts.
Young stars, those that comes around will be given all the necessary attention, and we will, of course, out of many will be called, few may be chosen.
The initiator of the boxing show promised to develop the sports in line with international best practices. With sports updates, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
On a sad note, President Bola Tinubu condoles with the family of retired soldier, broadcaster, and veteran actor Usman Baba Pategi Samanja. The president described the death of the popular thespian as a painful loss, saying he contributed to the country through the he pursued in his lifetime. He recalled how the late Pategi chose to obey the call to national duty when the country needed his service. His television show, Samanja, he noted, was a must-watch entertainment for decades, as he taught young citizens national values and respect for the military. President Tinubu encouraged the Pategi family, the people of and governments of Niger and Kwara states, the Pategi Emirate Council, and members of the Nigerian entertainment industry to take comfort in the worthy legacy of the deceased. And that's how it's been on Nationwide today. Thank you so much for watching. Good evening.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.